Welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay, and I figured I'd give you a little update on kind of the progress that we're making over the last little bit. So the truck is progressing along really well, and I did stop to do a little work on a Y block, and that's back on hold again. So you know, when that project actually gets all done and we figure out what direction it's going, I'll share that with you. But today we've kind of moved as far as we could on it. Back working on the 55, I wanted to give it start to get the details ready to turn it over, see if we could get gas up to the carb and start it. And when we did the cab swap, I didn't have time to pull the tank out and do something with it, and I hadn't planned far enough ahead to have a good tank ready to go. So we just pressed on. And so what I did last night was I took a look inside the tank, and it was, I'm guessing the tank had been out of this truck, because if you think back, this truck was actually the gray truck, and it had been at some body shop at some point in its life, and the bolts had been out to remove the tank. So my guess is the tank sat out and probably sat outside and got some water in it. And so I was hoping the tank would be nice and clean inside because the truck was all together, but bottom line, the tank was really crusty. So I I have two other tanks, and they were all pretty much in the same boat. So I pulled one of the tanks out, and I'm going to take it tomorrow morning. I'm going to take it to the radiator shop, and I'll have them clean it all out, get it all ready to go. It's sort of one of those things where, you know, the frustration of not doing this takes some of the fun out of it if you try to shortcut it. So we'll get it cleaned out, make it nice and sanitary inside, and then when we put it together, you know, we'll be able to play and have fun with it and do what we want to do with it. So a little bit of time and expense, but that's fine. While I had it out, I wanted to check the sender. So the tank that I put in it, I had bought, it was used, obviously it was used, but I bought it from some guy who had some miscellaneous truck parts. Who knows where he got them or what he was doing, and no real back story to it. And so I pulled the sender out of it, got the sender out of the tank, which is a little bit tricky because a lot of times you break the screws off, which I broke off some of the screws on the other tanks. So I got the sender out and tested it, and it was really scaly. It didn't read right. And so then I pulled the tank out of the truck and fought the sender out of it, and it was absolutely junk. So I did order a reproduction sender for it. It's one of the few new parts that'll go on the truck, with the plan that eventually I'll get all the gauges to work as they should and actually be able to tell what the gas gauge reads. So that's a little backstory. Did I need to do it? I could have run a plastic gas tank in the fender well like most guys do and driven it down the road, but that wasn't really the goal. That's not really the plan. The plan was to take it around the block as if it was a run and driving truck, like it was under its own power. So, so everybody does it their own way. That's kind of the plan I want to do. I didn't want to run it off a bottle. I wanted to run it off the tank. So the tank I'll take it in tomorrow. It'll probably be a few days. Sender will probably be here, Monday or so, maybe Tuesday. And so next week I'll get the tank back in it and get the running board back on in the running board bracket, and we'll be in really good shape. So I'll show you some of what that looks like and what I'm talking about in a couple, in a little short addition to this video. And that's about as far as I'll go on this. It's just kind of an update. I might tackle something else this evening. We'll kind of see how it goes. And other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. So let me show you what the tank looks like, what we had to do to get it out, and what the cinders look like. This is the fuel tank out of the F250. So this would have been the original tank to this truck. Looks good from the outside, a little dirty, but I mean, that's not horrible. But when you look inside, it is really crusty. So this tank could go to the radiator shop for, I'll do that whichever tank looks best for the good truck, and we'll get it down to the radiator shop too and get it all cleaned up, and so it's one more thing that's done. Tanks aren't, because they're under the fender well, they don't typically get too banged up, a little bit sometimes, but all the tanks are in pretty decent shape from a physical external damage perspective. I like using these tanks versus the aftermarket because typically the aftermarket tanks are substantially thinner, and I like the little beefier, little meatier tanks. And I have them, so they aren't terribly expensive, at least not in Arizona, just because they last a long time. If they're not left with the neck open, they last a long time. And you know, you have young guys or younger guys who just want to put a new one in. They either put a polypropylene tank in, or they put a new Chinese metal one in, and that's cool. So that leaves these for guys like me who want the original stuff. So that's the tank. It'll go, its sister will go down to the radiator shop. Down here is you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I had to pull the running board back off. You have to pull the rear running board bracket off the frame. It bolts on instead of rivets on, and that makes it so you can get access to drop the tank down. So tank came down pretty easy just because it had been out before, and pulled the tank out and off we go. So let me show you the cinders, and so let's take a look. So here are the 2 cinders. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple solutions. They have a big float that sits on the end of them. This one is probably good still. It looks a little crusty, but it is doesn't make any noise. It probably will do its job. This one is full of crap, so I guarantee that one's got a hole in it and is not going to do its job. So we'll throw that one away. We'll use that one or save that one. The cinder I bought actually comes with a float on it, and it actually has a new gasket. I bought a roll of cork a while back, and I used that to make my cinder gasket, so I don't have to worry about trying to find somebody who carries them, and that works out quite nicely. So in this case, both of these cinders, when I checked them with an ohm gauge, one is either 0 or maxed out at ohms of resistance, goes from complete resistance to no resistance. The other one just doesn't do anything, doesn't have any reading either way with the arm. So both of those are really no good for anything anymore. They're a funny looking little guy. They have kind of a odd looking tin foil-ish kind of material around it. I don't know exactly what the principle is. Probably somewhat the same as the principle that is used with any fuel gauge. It's just done in a little different manner. It doesn't have much. There doesn't take much movement of this rod to obviously make the reading change. So I don't know, but I'm not going to invest hours and hours of time to try to reverse engineer a fuel cinder for a 53 to 5.4 pickup. We're just going to
replace it with a reproduction, and hopefully we'll cross our fingers and hopefully it will work. Sometimes the reproduction stuff is about as crappy as what you take out, but we're gonna hope that it's good. Other than that, that's about where we're at on the fuel tank. If I get the fuel tank back, I might put the other pieces together on this video, or maybe I'll just upload this. It kind of depends on where we are video wise. We've had a little lag in getting the videos up. By the time you see this, we'll be way past that lag, but so I'm not sure exactly how the editing is going to go here and how many we'll kind of push up together, but that's the story. I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.